Elizabeth here in the flesh. I wanted to talk about this for a bit, but today I had a conversation after school. Um, I'm in a cohort right now. That's why I'm in New York City. But I was talking to a few people, and one of them is kind of on the more privileged side. Well, it doesn't matter about them. It doesn't matter about them yet at this point. Let's hop into the into the topic. So I knew that impoverished areas were tough. And I understand that lost feeling, or that feeling that like they can't catch a break, or like not being able to catch a break. I understand that feeling from an outsider looking in, because I went from a nicer area to a poor area. And when I was in that poor area, everybody was just confusing to me. But the reason why people in poorer areas, one, there's lack of information. So there's not as many people handing down information that help someone obtain skills or interest in something long enough so they will decide to dedicate themselves to that skill, or parents forcing their kids to learn a skill. So that you can then later let that skill give you whatever you want, other than like doing hair, because I know that can be like, it can cause some wear and tear. It could, and maybe not everyone enjoys doing hair. I hear some people fall out of love with that art. But that's just not the only skill people should have, you know? Because at some point, if you're charging the rates that you would need to sustain your life, it could become unsustainable to your customers. So then that relationship is so important, and you don't want to cause such a rift that you lose your source of income. Anywho, I want to give you a little bit of fact-based information that you can go out there and look for, if you want to look more into it. That the stress from poverty actually affects your health at a cellular level. It actually affects people so much that there was a mother. Her name on Instagram is Kimberly Kitzrow. Last name Kimberly, I'll spell it Kimberly, last name Kitzzerow, all one word. Excuse me, on Instagram. She did independent research because her child was nonverbal, and she was trying to figure out why her child was not nonverbal. And she has copyrighted all her information, and there have been so many people trying to steal her intellectual property. She's actually going through a lot trying to get that back. But she realized the link between stress and autism was very much so real. And the link between, and the stress that people endure when they are impoverished is indeed very much real, to the point where it can affect you on a cellular basis. So if you want to go follow Jared Van, I believe he is a doctor. Jared Van Education at Instagram.com. He was speaking on Dr. Jocelyn Fitzgerald's experience in her class called Stress. And she was explaining how in impoverished neighborhoods are pretty much built, and you know how the redlining occurred, but they were built so that people could have so much stress that they would literally, it would affect their health so much that it would cause diabetes. It could cause their metabolism to be off. It could cause inflammation, of course. It could cause like all the things that come along with stress, and we're just pretending, and people just pretend like it's something that we should ignore. All those frustrations that come from being impoverished cause people to stay in that loop of not progressing. And it even affects people who are not actually poor but live in that neighborhood. And the reason it affects those people is because they are in that loop of negativity as well. And it's not like it's malicious, but it is at the same time. And the only way to get out of it is to literally do a mindset shift. Now, mindset shifts are not hard when you realize what the goal is. So I wrote them down, and I also want to discuss the AI bubble a little bit, just because it's a stress causer. People think that AI is like this big thing that's going to take people's jobs, and it's not necessarily that, even if they try to frame it that way, because people of color have the unemployment rate for people of color has gone up, and they can't blame AI. Um, Even though they maybe tried to frame it that way, they just did a really bad job of it. People that use AI might take your jobs, but not yours specifically, but might take the jobs that exist. But AI can't do anything if no one's nursing it. It's something that has to be, just like a child, it has to be trained. You cannot just have a child and expect it to know everything just by osmosis. You literally have to teach that child everything that it knows. So if you're growing up in an impoverished neighborhood, you're teaching them slop, essentially. And how do you change that? You actually have to reach out to other people. You have to not feel ashamed about it, because it was by design. It's not like you were brought into the world and was like, yeah, poverty. No, nobody thinks that. So there's no reason to ever be shamed about your financial situation, especially if you're interested in getting help, especially if you're interested in understanding more about the world, ever. Anyways, I was trying to let y'all know what y'all need to know on it. Like, just know what you should be aiming towards if and when you're ready to move past the stress damage that comes from being in an impoverished neighborhood. So, if you don't know, so what is the word? Sociopaths are created. And when you grow up in those sorts of neighborhoods, street smarts kind of rules. And you have to figure it out, and being manipulative and being rowdy is probably the best way, especially if when you see someone with like a little bit of light or a little bit of naivety, not you specifically, but when people from those areas see someone with naivety, because I noticed this at the cohort that I'm in, they kind of want to slam them down. They kind of want to rough them up. They kind of want to prove that they are better. And it's unnecessary. I'm not saying that insecurity isn't valid. It's just some people, like, everyone needs to be self-aware, especially of the environment that they grew up in, what it created them to be, and attempt to heal, come back to the middle. Like, if you like, I always use this analogy, but like, think heaven, limbo, and hell. If you were born in hell, do your best not to try to pull people back down. If you ever seen like The Mummy, where they're in that, I think they're in the pyramid, and like they're trying, the Scorpion King one, and they're like, the ground opens up and all you see is these things trying to pull people down to hell. Like, don't be like that, because you're actually pulling yourself down. One, you won't let yourself go up, and not you, but like, they won't let themselves rise up because it's all they know. And I get it. I almost got stuck in that loop, honey. I made a series that I did not publish. My bad. I should have put it up, of things I would have did to get out of the hood if my dad didn't tell me to join the military. And that included like being an au pair, going to doing like internships overseas, going to college overseas for free, stuff like that. Like, the best thing to do is just leave, and then try and do this. Okay, here are the things that you need to figure out. You need to normalize your cortisol rhythms, meaning get in situations that are less stressful. Now, college is not necessarily the best environment to be unstressed, like low cortisol levels, but it's better than, I think it's easier to adapt to stretching yourself mentally than doing the mental gymnastics of trying to stay safe in an unsafe environment. Next is, you try to drop your inflammatory markers. I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, so let me just give that disclaimer. But going to see a physician, and if you don't have like health insurance, checking out those physicians that let you pay. I think they're like $200. I think they're less, actually. I think like $150 for a hormone check. They're just gonna check your hormones, see what you're missing, and let you know all the things that you are missing and things of that nature. And because we're in the time of AI, you can make a series of it and make that money back. Um, you can make a series out of anything, honestly. Like, I do have the talent atelier on my website that you can hop in, but honestly, you can do stuff for free. You don't have to always join a mentorship, but like when you're ready to, of course, look for things that you and do your due diligence in making sure that you connect with things that are going to not just have you plateau, but lift you up enough where you can take care of yourself, if that makes sense. um Improve your sleep quality, mitochondrial repair, immune system recalibration. Epigenetic change happens around, I believe it said, 3 to 5 years. And telomere lengthening happens short, like 1 to 3 years. So make it like a 5 year goal to recalibrate. Breathing exercises actually work. I know they sound woo woo, but they actually work. I'm not saying you have to meditate, but I am saying you should work your body a little bit. Do some walks, some yoga, do some things that de-stress you. Um, I wrote down a little bit of what safety includes. Safety includes predictable routines. It includes emotional boundaries. It includes financial stability improving, not meaning that it has to be perfect. It includes reduced chaos, and it includes self-trust. And it also includes not making excuses for yourself. Like, I might recommend you go to the library, get a card, and read books off of Libby instead of going to the bookstore and buying books. I might recommend you buy a book. Like, I'm reading the Adweek Copywriting Handbook. But if you're unable to focus, I would advise you to go to a workshop that may be coming in your area, or maybe online. They have online retreats now. And stop getting the ick from people that are selling value, that offer pick my brain sessions or consultations. There was a woman on the Financial Diet. She did an interview. And I'm pretty sure I talked about this because it just blew my mind. She said out of boarding school, she got a job, and at some point she was making $400K in commissions, consulting people. So if you aren't able to get in connection with people naturally, like if you're not able to get in connection naturally, buying your way into groups is the best. I've been doing this for years now, and I have improved so much. Naturally, I was getting into like little friendships here and there that were amazing, don't get me wrong, but they were kind of friendships that did not challenge me in the ways that I needed, as far as developmentally, because I was developmentally behind. And even like in dealing with being a parent and seeing what my children, how they are developing and what they have to consider as they're growing up, has helped me a lot. Like, seeing other people's stories play out and being able to pick their brain. This cohort that I'm in even now, it's fantastic. Like, I've never had conversations about so much politics. First of all, day one, we were talking politics and religion. There's a Jewish guy, a Muslim guy, and a Christian guy, and the instructor and I and the Christian guy were brought up Catholic. The Christian guy, he converted. The cool thing about the group that I'm in right now is the amount of differences in perspective, and I never would have had access to this if I wasn't open to, one, relocating, and two, paying to be in a group. So never shy away. I remember my first time going on a retreat that was people that I just never heard of. It was to the Poconos, really close by where I am now, and complete strangers. It was whenever Beyonce was at Coachella. I don't remember what year that was. It was that year. I went on a retreat with Om Noir, and it was fantastic. Like, I never would have met those people had I not been willing to just put in, buy the ticket and go. If I had never, just a few ago, maybe a few months ago, it was this year, I went to Paris on a writing retreat. And when I tell people these things, like in my real life, they're thinking I'm just being frivolous. They think I'm just being unstable and things like that. But in reality, growing up in an impoverished situation puts you in the dark. And you kind of have to get out of the dark. You have to get out of that hole that your parents decided to bring you up in, and see what's what, and figure out where you can fit in and what you can alter and what you can change and where you are best fitted. And you have to find these groups. Do I belong here? Do I feel like I belong here? Why don't I feel like I belong here? You need to question yourself. You need to figure out these answers. You need to know yourself. A really good book. It cost $18.99 US. I guess it's backwards because of the orientation. I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. He has a Netflix show. And he's on YouTube. He talks about people's finances. It's the journal though. It just gives you, it questions you. Okay, one of the questions. Create your own money rules. Another. What was the best or most enduring lesson about money you've learned from your friends? What was the worst or most damaging? Do you want to be the kind of person who gives generously to loved ones? Why or why not? You really need to know these things about yourself, and you need to figure out if you are abusing yourself financially. And just to bring AI back up into this, I'm not advocating anyone become best friends with AI. I am not advocating anyone close off their social circles to just AI. But framing your questions, even asking AI to help you prompt your questions so that you can get the best outcome, or create a job that doesn't exist in the world that based on your talents and interests. Even in impoverished neighborhoods, you can get AI to help you create a job to increase your income, because that's something I very much advocate, and I will not stop advocating for that. Prompting your way into AI, helping you understand how to handle, read the list again, normalizing your cortisol rhythms, inflammatory markers dropping, improving your sleep quality, mitochondrial repair, immune system recalibration, epigenetic change, telomere lengthening, so you can reduce that accelerated aging that comes with that could come from stress. If you can create a plan and get it approved by your doctor and your healthcare professionals, you are well on your way to getting out of the stress and the hole that being from impoverished neighborhoods, impoverished upbringings puts you in. And I wouldn't wish anything other than healing and getting out of this on anyone. So I hope that helps. Don't be fooled by AI. Don't let it stress you out more than it needs to. I would suggest learning about it. I am currently learning about it, and it's going well. There are videos all over the internet that you can learn for free. If you need to read books, I suggest going to your local library while we still have them intact, and working up your focus levels, because I know a lot of people's focus has been impacted by all of the times that we have been through. We made it to 2025, and 2026 is right around the corner. I will probably be live again this week. So with that being said, toodles. I'll talk to you later.